Today we've got some serious drama to break down. The situation between Caitlin Clark and a Connecticut Sun fan has been leaked, and now Teresa Weatherspoon is the latest coach to lose her job. Let's dive in. First up, let's talk about Caitlin Clark and what went down at the Connecticut Sun game. Even though the Fever season is over and Clark's off the court, the drama isn't cooling down. A lot of WNBA veterans and players are blaming Caitlin Clark's fan base for all the hate that's been going around. But come on, can we really put all of this on Clark's fans? Did you see what happened at the Sun game? It wasn't just a random fan. This guy had media credentials and was harassing Clark from the front row. The whole incident got leaked online, and now we've got more details to unpack. Clark ended up calling out the fan to security after he apparently crossed a line. Fans at the game said the guy didn't just insult her, he allegedly wished she'd fall and break her neck. Then, he went back to his seat and bragged about it to other Sun fans. More people who were there have come forward, saying they overheard some of his comments, and it sounds pretty bad. This situation has sparked a lot of debate online, and there are even rumors that the guy had media access. So far, the WNBA hasn't made a statement, but it's definitely a mess. WNBA commentator Stephen A. Smith called out the racist fan and showed his support for Clark. On the flip side, players like Angel Reese and Brittany Griner have also shared their thoughts. Angel mentioned she's been dealing with harassment from Clark's fans for the past 2 years. Griner, on the other hand, is pushing for the league to take faster action when it comes to toxic fan behavior. Speaking of Angel Reese, let's shift gears. Last night, news dropped that her coach, Teresa Weatherspoon, was fired from the Chicago Sky, and Angel's heartbroken. She tweeted about how much Weatherspoon meant to her, saying she was the only one who believed in her and supported her through a tough time in her life. What do you guys think about all this? The Indiana Fever delivered an unforgettable game. Picture this: Caitlin Clark, the rookie who's been making waves in the league, played all 45 minutes of a game that went into overtime. Yep, 45 minutes straight, and that's just the start. Clark didn't just lead the Fever to a tough 104-100 win over the Atlanta Dream. She also became the fastest player in WNBA history to hit 300 career assists. But that's not all. Her teammate, Aaliyah Boston, had the best game of her career on the very same night. The first quarter was electric, with the Fever and Dream trading baskets right from the jump. Clark showed she was locked in early, sinking a three-pointer within the first few minutes.
Boston gets it back to Clark, sidesteps Howard, she will launch and knock down a three.
The Atlanta Dream wasn't backing down, with Rhyne Howard answering back with her own sharp shooting. By the end of the first quarter, the Fever had a narrow 22-21 lead, setting the stage for a closely contested game. In the second quarter, things heated up even more. The Dream, led by Howard and Alicia Gray, pulled ahead by 6 points. But the Fever weren't going down easily. Lexi Hull stepped up, sinking 2 clutch three-pointers to keep them in the fight. Despite their efforts, the Dream managed to take control, going into halftime with a 48-44 lead. If you thought it was intense by then, the third quarter kicked things up a notch. The Dream extended their lead to 16 points, and it seemed like the Fever were losing their grip. But this is where Caitlin Clark and her squad worked their magic. Clark started finding her rhythm, making pinpoint assists and draining crucial shots. Meanwhile, Aaliyah Boston dominated the boards, grabbing key rebounds and converting them into points. By the end of the third quarter, the Fever had cut the lead to just 3 points, with the score at 69-66 in favor of the Dream. The fourth quarter was one of the most thrilling moments of the season. It was a battle between two determined teams. Clark continued to lead the Fever's offense with precision, while Boston was unstoppable around the basket. The game was tied multiple times in the closing minutes. With 18 seconds left, Boston hit a huge shot to tie the game at 90, sending it into overtime. Overtime was pure intensity. Clark and Boston kept up their dominance, but the Dream fought back hard. It was a back-and-forth exchange of baskets right up until the final seconds. In the end, Clark's composure at the free throw line sealed the Fever's 104-100 victory. This game showed just how much the Indiana team is growing, and with the playoffs on the horizon, they're showing some promising signs. What can we even say about Clark that hasn't been said already? Well, here's one for you. She played all 45 minutes of the game. Unreal, right? But the numbers back it up. Clark wrapped up the night with 26 points, 12 assists, and 5 rebounds. That's not just a double-double, it's complete court control. And the biggest highlight? She became the fastest player in WNBA history to hit 300 career assists. We're talking about a rookie shattering records that seemed untouchable. Her court vision is something else. If Clark was the conductor, Aaliyah Boston was the unstoppable force. Boston had the game of her career, dropping 30 points and grabbing 13 rebounds. Another double-double, but more than that, it was pure dominance. She was a force in the paint, turning Clark's assists into easy buckets and creating second chances with her offensive rebounding. Boston was incredibly efficient, hitting 11 out of 16 shots. And let's not forget Kelsey Mitchell. While Clark and Boston were stealing the show, Mitchell quietly had a standout game herself, with 21 points and a solid 50% shooting. She was the quiet but critical third piece of the puzzle, delivering when the Fever needed it most. Mitchell showed why she's one of the top shooters in the league, sinking clutch shots to help seal the victory. The trio of Clark running the show, Boston owning the paint, and Mitchell hitting from the outside is a combination that could take the Fever deep into the playoffs. And speaking of playoffs, with performances like this, the Fever are proving they're not just here to make up the numbers, they're here to compete for a title. A key moment in the game came in the third quarter when the Dream opened up a 16-point lead. That could have been the moment many teams threw in the towel, but not the Fever, and definitely not Clark. She kicked off a series of plays that completely turned the game around. She drained a three-pointer and followed it up with 2 quick assists to Boston. Just like that, the 16-point gap started to shrink. This was where Clark's championship mentality really showed. She didn't just rack up points, she elevated the play of her whole team. This game summed up the Fever season. Flashes of brilliance, some adversity, and overcoming challenges. But most of all, it showcased the heart and determination of this young squad, led by Clark and Boston.
Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Absolutely not.
Wheels around, evades Van Lith, and drains it. My goodness.
Iowa, she did everything. You know, however many shots you want to take, whatever you want to do with the ball, you can do. It's just a different ball game.
If you've been watching Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, you'll notice she's still hitting all those incredible shots she made back at Iowa, wowing fans and packing arenas like never before. It's almost like Cheryl Swoops never saw her play, because as great as Clark is at shooting, the real magic happens when she passes the ball.
You have some players like an Aaliyah Boston, an Alyssa Smith, a Kelsey Mitchell, like they gotta have a rock.
Take a look at the list of players she just mentioned, then check out Caitlin Clark's assist numbers and tell me those players aren't getting the ball. Oh, and by the way, Clark just broke the record for most assists in a season. Not just a rookie record, but the overall WNBA record. On top of that, Kelsey Mitchell is hitting career highs across the board. It wasn't just Swoops. Other WNBA vets also thought Clark was in for a tough reality check.
Reality is coming. You look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time.
The only real issue earlier this season was the cheap shots other players were taking at Caitlin Clark. Sure, some rookie welcome to the league moments are expected, but things like Carter's hip check could have seriously injured her. Neck, back, twisted ankle, you name it. Plays like that need to stop for the good of the game and the league's future. Since the players came back from the Olympic break, Clark has led the Fever to their first postseason, ending the longest playoff drought in WNBA history. If we look at the last 12 games, Clark and her talented teammates have gone 8-4, securing the 6th seed. One thing that stands out is how much better she shoots from the left wing, especially off the catch. It's her highest percentage shot, which makes sense since her arm motion aligns better on that side. And the crazy part is, most of these shots are on the move. She rarely has time to just stand still, receive a pass, and shoot. Clark is tough to guard because of her constant motion. She runs off double Ivan screens, snaps back to the ball off a pin down, and the defender makes the bold choice to go under the screen, which triggers a flare cut to the deep left wing. She barely has any space, but still drains the shot. You could see WNBA players wondering why her NCAA opponents weren't guarding her properly. It was like Clark was showing off when she hit her personal best of 7 threes against Brittany Sykes' Mystics. It turns out, stopping Clark from getting her shots off to the left is harder than people think, even for seasoned WNBA vets. And against Diamond D Shields and the Chicago Sky, she hit 2 threes going left, with defenders right in her face. The Fever runs some great plays to capitalize on her left side. For example, the cross screen leaves her defender under the screen, first mistake. Then, the handoff causes 2 defenders to get tangled up, and the final screen by Boston leaves Clark wide open to knock down a beautiful shot. When it comes to her passing, Clark is creating over 5 layups per game for her teammates, which is just wild. The biggest beneficiary is Aaliyah Boston. They've got a nice play where Boston slips the ball screen on the left side, then gets a double staggered screen across the lane, allowing Clark to deliver a perfect pass for an easy bucket. In a similar setup, Clark gets a ball screen at the top while Boston uses her body to shield the defender and finishes with a soft touch off the glass. Their bread and butter is the pick and roll. Since Clark draws both defenders, Boston often gets open shots right at the rim. Boston uses her size to spin around smaller defenders for easy layups, and when they reverse the ball screen on the left side, it's the same result. Boston's defender has to hedge because of Clark's shooting threat, but Clark's wraparound pass finds Boston perfectly. She even spins the ball just right so it lands in Boston's hands, allowing her to finish away from the defender. Just perfect execution. They've developed a killer 2-woman game at the top of the key, flattening the other 3 players along the baseline to give them room to operate. When the pick and roll is covered well, they transition smoothly into a get action, and Boston pulls off one of my favorite moves, the fake handoff. This sets up Clark for an assist and gave the Fever a crucial basket that helped them win in overtime. The chemistry between Clark and Mitchell has been fantastic. They connect so often on that classic dribble towards the corner backdoor cut play. Clark draws so much attention that Mitchell's defender tends to freeze, and with her speed and explosiveness, Mitchell easily beats her defender. Add Clark's vision and pinpoint passing to the mix, and you get a lot of frustrated coaches on the other side who, despite preparing for this, still get burned. Where they're especially dangerous is in transition. Mitchell is one of the fastest players in the league, and if the defense doesn't hustle back early, Clark is going to find her with one of those signature 50-foot passes for easy layups. Putting pressure on the defense early like that also softens it up, making it easier for Clark to get into her deep shooting game with less resistance. What's happening in the WNBA right now is absolutely wild. Sophie Cunningham, who plays with Diana Taurasi on the Phoenix Mercury, recently made some eye-popping comments about Caitlin Clark that are leaving people stunned. And believe it or not, that's just scratching the surface. Caitlin Clark isn't just putting up numbers on the court, she's changing the game itself. She's been smashing records, pulling off impossible plays, and shaking up the Indiana Fever in ways no one saw coming. And get this, some of the seasoned veterans are starting to feel a bit envious. Yep, the rookie is making waves so big that it's ruffling the feathers of some long-standing stars. But hold on, let's take a closer look at what Cunningham said that's got everyone buzzing. In a recent interview, she dropped some serious thoughts on Caitlin Clark.
But I think they've done a great job in the league as well. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to, but I think especially Caitlin Clark, she's been killing it. And I'm a huge fan, and I never say that, but I think it's fun what she's doing.
Can you believe what this means? A veteran player who shares the court with the iconic Diana Taurasi is giving major props to a rookie. That's not something you see every day in the WNBA, but Sophie didn't stop there. She had more to say.
When it comes to viewership, man, I think a lot of people have a lot to learn about our league, but I think that's a really fun thing. And if you have really anything negative to say about all the viewership and everything that this rookie class is doing, I just think that you're not capitalizing on it and you might be a little jealous. So
Sophie just dropped a truth bomb on anyone throwing shade at Caitlin Clark's success and the other rookies in the league. She's basically saying that if you're not on board with how the WNBA is growing, then the issue might be with you. But why is Sophie, an established player, going all out to defend Clark and the rookies? Simple. It's all about the impact. Clark isn't just playing great basketball. She's completely changing how people view the WNBA. Since she stepped into the league, viewership has exploded. Games that used to have empty seats are now packed. People aren't just watching Indiana Fever games, they're buying tickets, jerseys, and buzzing about the WNBA on social media like never before. And here's the kicker. Clark is pulling all this off as a rookie. She didn't need years to adjust or build a fan base. She came in and started dominating right away. That's why Sophie and other savvy players are seeing that Clark's success is tied to the success of the league itself. In just the last 5 games, Clark's been on fire, averaging 22.6 points, 8.4 assists, and 4.8 rebounds. But that's not all. She's shooting 48.1% from the field and an impressive 44.4% from beyond the arc. These aren't just good numbers for a rookie, they're elite, even for seasoned pros. And what's most incredible is that she's not just stacking up stats for herself, she's lifting the entire team. With Clark on the court, the Fever have gone from barely scraping by to becoming serious title contenders. Oh, and that record for most points generated in a WNBA season? Clark is on track to break it. She's already ranked among the top 3 rookies of all time for total points, and the season's not even over. But it's not just about scoring. Clark is redefining what it means to be a point guard in this league. Her assists aren't just routine passes, they're jaw-dropping plays. She's seeing and creating opportunities that leave even the commentators speechless. And here's the wild part. She's doing all of this against defenses that are built specifically to shut her down. Entire teams are shifting their strategies just to contain Caitlin Clark, but she's still out there dominating. That's why veterans like Sophie Cunningham are so impressed. Clark isn't just excelling, she's changing the entire game. She's pushing teams and players to evolve, and in doing so, she's raising the level of competition across the WNBA. Let's dive into something Cunningham brought up that's been stirring the pot in the league: the jealousy and criticism aimed at Caitlin Clark. Sounds crazy, right? A rookie making such a huge impact that it's got veterans feeling envious. But that's exactly what's happening. Some players, and even some fans, are complaining about all the attention Clark's getting, saying it's overhyped or that she's stealing the spotlight from more experienced players. But let's be real, this is just plain jealousy. As Sophie Cunningham wisely pointed out, those who are grumbling about the attention Clark is bringing to the league are missing out on the bigger picture and maybe feeling a bit envious. She's absolutely right. Clark's success doesn't take away from any other player's value. In fact, the more attention the WNBA gets, the better it is for everyone. More fans mean more revenue, which can lead to higher salaries, better conditions, and more opportunities for all players. Clark is literally expanding the league's market. She's attracting new fans, people who might never have watched a WNBA game before. And once they're hooked, they're not just watching Clark, they're getting introduced to all the incredible talent the league has to offer. That's why smart players like Cunningham are embracing the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. They understand that when one player shines, it benefits the whole league. Clark's success is lifting the WNBA to new heights, and that's good for everyone. The WNBA faced some early controversy just 90 seconds into the first playoff game of 2024, when the Indiana Fever took on the Connecticut Sun in their best-of-3 series. Things escalated quickly when Caitlin Clark, the unanimous Rookie of the Year, ended up with a black eye. The incident happened when Connecticut guard Dejanai Carrington appeared to accidentally poke Clark in the eye. Despite Clark clearly being in pain and falling to the ground, no foul was called, which sparked an outcry from fans on social media. Many accused Carrington of foul play, claiming the move was intentional. Even Barstool Sports founder Dave Portnoy weighed in, tweeting, "Why does the WNBA let players wear gigantic nails if they use them as weapons? We're lucky Caitlin didn't lose an eye. No foul call, and she had to play with one eye the rest of the game." Clark, despite the injury, continued playing, but had one of her toughest games since joining the WNBA. She shot just 3.5%, going 4 for 17 from the field, including 2 for 11 from beyond the arc. The Fever, unable to rally behind their star, suffered a tough 93-69 loss to Connecticut, putting them on the verge of elimination. Kelsey Mitchell's 21 points and Aaliyah Boston's 11 rebounds were among the few highlights for Indiana. On the other side, Connecticut was led by Marina Mabrey's 27 points and Alyssa Thomas's 15th career triple-double as they controlled the game from start to finish. Despite the rough game, Clark didn't blame her eye injury for the performance. After briefly sitting on the bench following the poke, she decided to push through the pain and played 36 minutes, contributing 8 assists. However, her shooting struggles were hard to ignore. In the post-game press conference, Clark refused to place blame on Carrington, taking full responsibility for the missed shots and acknowledging her difficult game. Her determination to keep playing says a lot about her resilience, but fans are still left wondering if the eye injury played a bigger role in her off night. It remains to be seen if Clark and the Fever can bounce back and avoid an early playoff exit. If Caitlin Clark is the star of the WNBA, things are about to get tough for the league once she's out of the playoffs. The reality is, the WNBA is in for a wake-up call. When Clark was out, ratings plummeted from 1.8 million viewers to just 161,000. Definitely concerning for Kathy Engelbert and the league. Clark's presence this season boosted everything: merchandise, ticket sales, and TV viewership. The Indiana Fever, once barely relevant, became playoff contenders, and her games consistently sold out. But now, here's the issue. Without Clark, the WNBA is struggling. Not a single playoff game has even reached 500,000 viewers in her absence. Without her star power, the league is left facing empty arenas and tanking ratings. It's become clear they put all their hopes on Clark, and now they're feeling the effects. Clark's influence extended beyond just the Fever. She set records in points, assists, and triple-doubles, and her energy lifted the whole league. Attendance shot up by 156%, TV ratings nearly tripled, and merchandise sales skyrocketed. She even drew in fans who had never paid attention to women's basketball before. But now that she's out, the league is facing a tough reality. Remember those packed arenas for her games? Without her, the venues are half full, and the excitement is gone. Even the top teams can't pull in 500,000 viewers. The WNBA is staring down not just a major drop in fan engagement, but a financial loss too. The NBA pours $200 million into the WNBA every year just to keep it going. But compared to the NBA's $3 billion in revenue, the WNBA's earnings are minimal. What's even more shocking is that the league hasn't properly marketed Clark. There have been no big commercials or major marketing campaigns. It's like they're hiding their biggest asset. So what happens now? The WNBA needs to develop more stars, build rivalries, and create storylines that don't rely entirely on Clark. The league can't sit around waiting for the next big name to show up and save them. It's time for change, and fast. Can the WNBA survive without Caitlin Clark? Or is this the start of a serious decline for women's pro basketball?
Under 5 minutes to go in the first, it's Caitlin Clark. The ball's knocked loose, doesn't matter. 29 feet away, pulling up from Alexandria. Boom. No problem.
Caitlin Clark just delivered the explosive performance we've all been waiting for. She nailed 7 three-pointers and scored over 30 points in front of a packed crowd of more than 20,000 fans, turning a dream scenario into reality for us supporters. In this remarkable game, Clark became just the second rookie in WNBA history to hit 7 three-pointers and reach a career-high 30 points. She matched Crystal Robinson's rookie three-point record from 1999 and surpassed Tamika Catching's record of 6 from 2002, setting a new franchise record for the most three-pointers by a rookie in a single game. Her standout performance not only led the Indiana Fever to an 85-83 victory over the Washington Mystics in the Commissioner's Cup, but also won over fans who had seen her struggle in earlier games. Moreover, she silenced critics who doubted her ability to adjust to the WNBA standards. The game, which was moved to Capital One Arena to accommodate the high demand to see the top draft pick, saw Clark shine in front of a record-breaking crowd of 20,333. This was the largest attendance for a WNBA game since the 2007 finals and the second best performance since 1999. Clark also added 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and a career-high 4 steals to her impressive stats.
At this time 1 week ago, we were gearing up for Caitlin Clark to go against Angel Reese for the first time in their WNBA careers. And by the time the Fever Sky game was over, the conversation had changed to Kennedy Carter's foul on Clark, a foul the WNBA would later upgrade to a flagrant foul 1 the very next day, and it was a foul that launched 1,000 takes.
Caitlin Clark has made history as just the second rookie to score over 30 points, grab more than 5 rebounds, dish out over 5 assists, and hit more than 5 three-pointers in a single game. She also became the fastest WNBA player to reach 200 points and 75 assists, achieving this in just 12 games and surpassing Sue Bird's record of 14 games. "It felt great to shoot well. Even my misses felt close," Clark said after the game. "It was nice to have a night like this. Overall, we shot the ball really well. 16 made threes. I still see so many areas where I can improve, and I think that goes for our entire team." Clark is determined to maintain her high level of play, knowing she hasn't reached her peak yet. Her standout performance also led the Fever to deliver the Mystics their 11th consecutive loss, marking the worst start in the franchise's history. Kelsey Mitchell, Clark's backcourt partner, added 16 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Both Aaliyah Boston and Nalissa Smith contributed 10 points each. The team secured their second Commissioner's Cup win, moving to a 2-1 record in the competition. However, despite her impressive performance, Clark is still dealing with some rookie challenges, including leading the league in turnovers. She had 8 more turnovers in this game, bringing her season total to 67. Interestingly, she matched her career high of 30 points from May 28th against the Los Angeles Sparks. Along with her 6 assists, 8 rebounds, and 4 steals, she made 7 of 13 three-point attempts, tying a WNBA rookie record, and hit 5 consecutive shots from beyond the arc in the second half.
Yeah, I think it's a process more than anything. It felt good to shoot the ball well. Like, I feel like even my misses were like right there. I thought multiple were still going in, and it was nice to have a night like that.
Clark's confidence in her game is evident from recent performances. Earlier, she discussed the learning curve she faced in her first 11 professional games. After scoring just 3 points in a season-low performance against the New York Liberty on Sunday, Clark rebounded with what many consider the best game of her young WNBA career, thanks to a 4-day break. During this time off, Clark mentioned that the Fever took the opportunity to refine their set plays and practice against ball screen blitzes that had been challenging them. Against the Mystics, Clark found space to create off those screens, explaining, "As a shooter, once you see 1 or 2 shots go in, the basket just seems bigger and bigger." Indiana head coach Christy Sides noted that the strategy to get Clark more action off screens was deliberate, aiming to reduce her workload. "She started feeling it late, which is always a good sign," Sides said. Defensively, Clark made an impact with a steal under the Washington basket to ignite a transition bucket in the first half and added another steal shortly after. By halftime, she had 4 assists and 3 steals, energizing the fans. Playing against the struggling Washington Mystics, who have 11 losses this season, also gave Clark a chance to look more at ease on the court. She mentioned before the game that she felt her passing was up to her standard, even as she and her Fever teammates continue to build their chemistry. Clark is also satisfied with her rebounding stats, considering her size. The 2-time NCAA Player of the Year came into Friday's game averaging 15.6 points, 6.4 assists, 5.1 rebounds, 1.3 steals, and a league-high 5.4 turnovers per game. Clark believes that as the game slows down for her, those turnovers will decrease. To reduce turnovers, Clark showcased her ball handling skills with a smooth one-handed drive and a scoop shot for 2 points in the first quarter. On the next Fever possession, she demonstrated her court vision with a give and go with second-year forward and 2023 top draft pick, Aaliyah Boston. Despite this, some flaws in Clark's game from the first 6 weeks of her professional career were evident on Friday. In the first quarter, she was stripped by fellow rookie Julie Van Loo, who then hit a transition three-pointer before Clark could recover. Clark responded with a step-back three-pointer near the Mystics logo. With the Fever starting 3s in 9, Clark is gaining a clearer understanding of how much experience counts in the WNBA. She offered some realistic insights into her situation, noting, if you're the #1 pick, you're probably going to a team that didn't have the best year before. It can be tough at times. One of the positives from the first 11 games has been the team's energy, which Clark says has remained consistent since their first game. Recently, Clark has been more in the media spotlight, particularly after taking hard fouls from the Chicago Sky's Kennedy Carter, which the league later upgraded to a flagrant foul. Clark addressed the controversy before Friday's game and stated she wasn't seeking an apology from Carter. While Carter faced criticism from fans upon the Sky's arrival in DC, Clark's performance highlighted her resilience and ability to rise above the situation.
And she's having a tremendous season. She's played great basketball in my eyes, probably in first place for 6th player of the year. And, it's just basketball at the end of the day. There's no grudges. There's nothing like that. It's a sport. It's competitive. It's not going to be nice all the time. That's not what basketball is. And I think people that play that at the highest level understand that.
Clark acknowledged that she was fully aware of the physical challenges she would face in the WNBA. Maybe some people didn't understand the circumstances, she said. Clark continued, "You're starting a new chapter and a new phase of your career as a professional athlete. It's not going to click overnight. That's just not how it works." Clark has been emphasizing this since the beginning of her WNBA career, but both she and her fans are well aware of her exceptional talent and quick learning abilities. She plays in front of sold-out crowds in large arenas, and the excitement only seems to grow with each game. While Angel Reese might not see it now, it's Caitlin Clark who has made the WNBA the talk of the town, drawing record-breaking crowds and increasing viewership for fans watching from home.
And here is the women's basketball world choosing to reject the attention that is finally coming their way by rejecting Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA has really missed out by passing on Caitlin Clark. She's not just any rookie, she's the most exciting thing to happen to the WNBA, NCAA, and women's basketball in general. But here's an intriguing twist. She got left out of the Team USA women's basketball roster. Talk about a major surprise for 2024.
Look, let's be honest. Most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
In basketball, having top-notch skills and fierce competitiveness can overshadow even the biggest teams worldwide, and Caitlin Clark embodies all of that. So, what could be behind Team USA's decision not to include the Indiana Star rookie? First, let's take a look at Clark's performance in her rookie year with the WNBA. Despite the Indiana Fever's 3-for-29 season, Clark shined individually, averaging 16.8 points, 6.3 assists, and 5.3 rebounds. Her performance and impact are unprecedented for a rookie in the WNBA. So why isn't she on the Team USA roster? Experience can't be the excuse, considering the USA national basketball team's history of selecting rookies. Since women's basketball was added to the Olympics in 1976, at least 2 players under 25 have been included in every Olympic roster. The youngest ever to play for the USA women's team was Nancy Lieberman at 18 in 1976. In the Tokyo Games, the youngest were Asia Wilson and Nafisa Collier, both 24. Additionally, there's a precedent for including the top WNBA draft pick in Olympic years, such as Diana Taurasi in 2004, Candace Parker in 2008, and Breanna Stewart in 2016. The U.S. team didn't include Ndamukadi Agwumaike in the lineup back in 2012, even though she was with Los Angeles and now Seattle. Now, Caitlin Clark finds herself in a similar situation. During her time at Iowa, Clark became the Division I career scoring leader for both men and women, finishing with 3,951 points. She also reached the national championship game in both her junior and senior years.
Look, let's be honest. Most people didn't even know they had women's basketball in the Summer Olympics. Now you have a chance to do this, and you don't take it, so here.
However, Selecting Clark would have meant more than just highlighting her story. It would have introduced Olympic viewers and readers, many of whom aren't avid sports fans or haven't seen a women's Olympic basketball game, to the entire U.S. team. If you hadn't seen Breanna Stewart in her previous Olympic appearances, you would have tuned in this summer because of Clark's star power. The same goes for Brittany Griner. If she's healthy, she won't be there, and thus, many fans won't follow, as they usually don't. Imagine the global interest Clark could have generated, with reporters and fans from around the world watching her make stunning plays and signing autographs. Little girls in Europe and Africa might have been just as captivated as those in the USA. It all comes down to USA Basketball, whose mission is to promote, grow, and elevate the game at all levels. Missing out on representing your country in the Olympics is undoubtedly disheartening, and Caitlin Clark likely felt that way when she learned she hadn't made the 12-player roster for the Paris Games. On Sunday, Caitlin Clark and Fever coach Christy Sides addressed the news for the first time since it was announced that the top overall pick didn't make Team USA's final roster for the 2024 Olympics in Paris next month. Clark maintained her usual calm demeanor when reacting to the news, but Sides revealed her star's immediate response. Clark got the call while on the bus and texted Sides to share the news. Sides tried to keep her spirits up, and Clark's reaction was, "Hey coach, they woke a monster," which Sides found impressive. Clark noted that the team's mix of talent and experience, none of the players being younger than 26, was a key factor in her not making the roster. Despite this, Clark expressed enthusiasm for the players who did make the team. She said, "I'm excited for the girls on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and it could have gone either way, with me being on the team or not. I'll be rooting for them to win gold. Watching the Olympics has always been a dream for me, and this just adds motivation. Hopefully, in 4 years, I can be there." Clark was invited to the most recent training camp in April, which would have been her first chance to work with the senior national team, but she couldn't attend due to the Final Four. Nonetheless, she gave herself a strong chance with a standout rookie season. However, she has faced challenges with the physicality of the game and leads the league in turnovers, averaging 5.6 per game. These issues, along with the talent and experience of the players ahead of her, seem to be the reasons she didn't make the final roster. According to Christine Brennan of USA Today, Team USA veterans were concerned about how Clark's large fan base might react if she were chosen, but received limited playing time. Clark didn't go into details about the decision, but mentioned that USA Basketball called her to deliver the news before it was publicly leaked on social media. On the bright side, Clark will finally get a break when the WNBA takes a pause for the Olympics. She's been playing almost non-stop since her senior season at Iowa started in October. Once the Fever finish their pre-Olympic schedule on July 17th, they won't play again until August 16th. "I'm really looking forward to a break," Clark said. "I've loved every second of competing, but it will be great to rest, get healthy, and take a bit of time away from basketball. It'll be nice to find some peace and quiet for myself." There's a slight chance Clark could still join the team as an injury replacement. Notably, Chelsea Gray, who was selected, hasn't played in 8 months due to a foot injury, and it's unclear when she'll return. As one of the top playmakers, Clark could be next in line if Gray isn't back in time. However, Clark is focusing on the Fever and their effort to climb out of the 11th seed. "If USA Basketball needs something, I have a good relationship with them, but the 12 players they've selected are really great," Clark said. "I think they're in good hands. Cheryl Reeve is a great coach, and the selection committee did a really good job." Some media personalities suggest that not making Team USA could turn out to be a blessing in disguise for Clark. Jamel Hill, formerly of ESPN, suggested that not competing for the gold medal might actually be beneficial for Clark. In just a few weeks, Clark transitioned from college basketball to becoming a professional and dealing with a demanding schedule. A multi-week break could be just what she needs, Hill mentioned in an X post. Clark had almost no offseason, Her college career ended on April 7th after a long 6-month season, and just a week later, she was the first overall pick in the WNBA draft by the Indiana Fever. She started practicing almost immediately, with the Fever's preseason beginning 11 days before the WNBA season kicked off on May 14th. The WNBA season will take a nearly month-long break for the Olympics, with the Fever off from July 18th to August 15th. This will be the longest gap between games for Clark since before her final season.
Today, anytime the head is hit, they usually call it, and she gets her really hard there. Any contact above the shoulders.
Angel Reese hit Caitlin Clark right on the head and ended up getting benched for it. To be honest, this situation isn't as glamorous or joyful for Clark as it might seem. The physical demands and the pressure of expectations, both on and off the court, have been tough. Adding to that, the stress from social media and various conspiracies has made things even harder. Clark talked about how challenging it all has been.
Younger than that at times, and I'm trying to navigate moving to a new city by myself. I'm trying to navigate, playing in a new league on top of everything else that has come with it. And
in the midst of all the chaos, Caitlin Clark is trying to stay calm. It's definitely not easy or delightful. The world keeps pulling her into the whirlwind. Over just a few years in the spotlight, Clark's story has evolved from a fun narrative about a record-breaking college basketball scorer who brought new attention to women's basketball, to discussions about race, sexuality, fame, money, and opportunity. Then, it shifted back to concerns about her turnover numbers early in her first WNBA season. Clark highlighted the importance of focusing on mental health and emphasized that seeking help is crucial. "I can achieve everything in my life," she said. "I'm not afraid to ask for help and to tell people, today is just not my day, and that's okay. Not every day has to be perfect."
I think it's something that a lot of people in our country struggle with, especially young individuals. And, I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to ask for help.
The concern isn't just about Clark herself. Tennis star Serena Williams recently praised Caitlin Clark for handling early success well despite social media negativity. Speaking to the New York Post at the Tribeca Festival about her docuseries In the Arena, Serena was asked about Caitlin. Serena responded, "I just love that she tries to stay grounded." She mentioned that Caitlin avoids looking at her social media. Sharing some advice with Caitlin, Serena said,
"If people are negative, it's because they can't do what you do, basically, and hopefully she'll continue to do what she's doing."
Relating to Clark's tough early career days, Serena Williams shared her own experiences with similar negativity as a young tennis star. "I was bullied," Serena said. "Things I went through would get people canceled now." Earlier this year, Serena expressed interest in owning a WNBA team while talking to CNN. "I would definitely be super interested with the right market," she reiterated. "We just need the right catalyst and people. And I think that's happening over the past 2 years. Women's sports are finally having their moment." Big stars like Serena recognize Caitlin Clark's unprecedented rise to fame. She's one of the most popular athletes on the planet, and she hasn't even played her first WNBA game. In her first 14 games, Clark is on track to win Rookie of the Year, averaging 15.6 points on 36.7% shooting, 32.2% from three, 4.9 rebounds, and 6 assists. However, she's also facing intense physicality and committing a league-high 5.5 turnovers per game. Amid all the attention, fans are concerned about her mental health and well-being. Being famous has its perks, but at just 22 years old, there's worry about whether Clark can handle the long-term pressure. In ESPN's Full Court Press series, Clark admitted she sometimes wishes she were normal, because all the attention and press can be draining. "There are days when you don't want to talk to everyone," Clark said, "but someone comes up to you, and this is their 10-second interaction with you, so you better smile and be kind. But sometimes, you just want to be normal." Despite the pressure, Caitlin Clark seems to be handling it well so far. But with her fame expected to rise, fans are concerned about her mental health. Life as a celebrity has its downsides, but the pros often make it worth it. At 22, Clark's exciting journey in the world of basketball and celebrity continues. The latest chapter took place on Sunday in front of a sold-out crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. There, she faced Angel Reese, a Chicago Sky rookie familiar with high-profile showdowns against Clark. They had a heated battle in the 2023 NCAA National Championship game, where Reese's LSU Tigers defeated Clark's Iowa Hawkeyes, famously mocking Clark's "you can't see me" hand motion. Clark and Iowa got their revenge when they knocked out Reese and LSU in this year's Elite Eight in April. Attendance and merchandise sales spiked, and everyone assumed the latest Clark-Reese game would set viewership records. "I think it's the emotion and passion we play with," Clark said. "That's something that wasn't always appreciated about women's sports. And it should be. It makes it fun. We're competitors. And that's how the game should be. It's going to get feisty and physical, but both teams are just trying to win." In their second professional meeting, the Fever earned a 91-83 win, with Clark delivering her best all-around performance of her 15-game career. She scored 23 points on 11 shots, adding 9 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 blocked shots. In a dramatic turn, Reese hit Clark across the head, sending her to the floor as she attempted to block Clark's layup in the third quarter, earning Reese a flagrant foul. Clark's reaction was unexpectedly composed. "What's going through my mind is, I need to make these 2 free throws," she said. "That's all I'm thinking about. It's just part of basketball. It is what it is. She's just trying to make a play on the ball and get the block. It happens."